So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this month's edition of Métis Coffee Talk for this Thursday, March 28th. Hard to believe it's already the end of March, 3 months into the year 2024. I just don't know where this year's gone, but boy, it sure seems to be going by fast. But I know many of us are just getting ready for our Easter long weekend, and we know that it's going to be some time with some family and some relaxation, hopefully this weekend. I'm your host on behalf of the BC Métis Federation. My name is Keith Henry. I'm the president, and I also serve as the CEO of the BC Métis Federation. And I'm joining you live from Vancouver, British Columbia. So I've got our usual friends on today. I've got our live entertainment all the way from Northwest BC, Terrace, BC. Our Vice President, Renee Therian, and his backup, Sean. Renee, how you guys doing up there tonight?
Good, thanks for having us. And yeah, the weather's been good. Yeah, I've been busy working, so here we are.
And you and Sean are ready to play some good old some Métis music for us, right?
Yes, some good fiddle tunes.
Well, we've got lots of news and information to share with members and partners watching live tonight or watching it after the fact. Why don't you start us off with the show with a song? What at least one song? What's your first song?
I'm going to play a tune that I've heard many years ago. It's called let's see now. Keystone Reel.
Okay. Great song there, Renee and Sean. Keystone Riddle, is that what you said?
Yeah, Keystone Reel. Yep.
Real. So I said riddle.
Reel. Yep.
Oh, I gotta pay attention here. Keystone Real. I thought the whole time it was riddle. I'm like, why do they call it? I was just gonna ask you, why did they call it the riddle? They don't. Well, I just want to say thank you for that song. I know we have some friends watching tonight, and I'm obviously monitoring the comments. So if any of you have any questions or any requests for Métis music, maybe a specific song, I'll pass it along to our Terrace connection here. But I'm sure they've got a great lineup for us tonight. But certainly, I want to say hi to, of course, I see Deborah Marion on. I see Elizabeth Pierce, Betty, and Francis, and probably Angel and the family and others. Diane Pierce. Nice to see everyone following along tonight. But there are a number of items I do want to share with our members and partners tonight. Just jumping right into the news and information. Just remember that obviously, on behalf of our leadership and our operational team, and of course our partner communities and everyone part of our Métis community, just remember tomorrow is Good Friday, and of course Easter Sunday means Monday is a stat as well. So our offices are closed tomorrow, March 29th, and of course on April 1st. So just a gentle reminder, if you're trying to email and people aren't responding, obviously I'm sure we can all appreciate that the offices are closed for Easter. Do you have any plans for Easter there, Mr. Vice President, or Sean? Any big plans for Easter this year?
Well, you mean for what was that for?
Just for Easter holidays. You got any big plans at all?
Well, we're going to go to Dawson Creek. There's a festival there, and Anna would like to go visit a few friends in Alberta. I'm hoping to be able to go to Kelowna on Greg. I'm hoping to.
Oh yeah, no, I just meant for Easter. No, for Easter. I was saying, wow, you got a
Easter. Oh, the Easter.
You're busy.
Well, no, I'm going up to
Wow.
Nash for 3 days. Nash for 3 days. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, do you have a jet or something, a private jet I don't know about? Why I was thinking, boy, you're gonna be busy.
No.
Well, I was impressed for a moment.
No,
Any-
I'll be going up the Nass for a couple of days because I have somebody to come with, so
Yeah,
we're going to do some work.
perfect. How about you, Sean? Any, I know you're the backup band here, and but any big plans for
Backup
Easter?
band. Well, we always, tradition is to take the grandkids out to the lake and have an Easter egg hunt on Monday. So that's Easter Monday for us. We'll have ham dinner tomorrow night and then have an Easter egg hunt on Monday with the kids.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I think, Sean, that's a great message for our members or people watching, friends, others watching tonight. Yeah, Easter is another opportunity for us to spend time with your family, and those are the memories that the kids never forget. I certainly remember my Easter running around the house like a complete orangutan, looking for the chocolate eggs everywhere, and my
Right.
parents weren't very, I remember that when we were young. I don't think they were very creative. They had the same hiding spots pretty much every year. So it didn't take us long to find all the eggs. But anyways, I digress. But I just hope everyone has some good family time this weekend, of course. Now there are some other updates, and I want to jump us to our next story, if you will. I guess what's I just we continue to work on a lot of research on behalf of the BC Métis Federation and our members. So the next item I just wanted to just share with everyone is that the Federation is working in many channels to deal with the Pacific Northwest and the history of Métis people specific to British Columbia, et cetera. And as many of you have been following our progress over the last number of years, you'll know that we have MétisInBC.ca website. We run a public relations campaign, but the backstop of that all is the kind of research that we're continuing to bring together, and we just want to share with our members and our partners. We're very thankful to Library and Archives Canada. They did provide a letter of support this past week, and I want to thank our Director of Research, Joe Desjardins, and the team for building that relationship with Library and Archives Canada. These are important things for us to help people with their genealogy. A lot of the traditional Métis genealogies, many Métis genealogical books out there, from the Red River, the Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, of course. But there is continued research that is still a little bit devoid here in the Pacific Northwest. So there's some good resources, and we're building others. And so I just want to just let members know that these are the things that our team's focused on. So I'll just quickly touch on the letter from Library and Archives Canada. And again, this is about helping our members understand the work that we're doing. So you can see this letter was signed off at the end of December, but we just got it recently. But anyways, the letter is to confirm to our Director of Research, Joe Desjardins, that they're currently in ongoing discussions with members of the BC Métis Federation, and are committed to optimizing access to our services and supporting the needs of our researchers to successfully conduct historical research into records held by Library and Archives Canada. I just cannot stress enough to all of the folks watching tonight. There's many individual families that are deeply missing genealogical documentation. We believe a lot of this information will come through these kind of major archival databases. And so all this to say that we are very excited to see this move forward with this particular federal entity. So anyways, we've agreed on some capacity building. We're going to continue to work on the research team with our research team and online and in person support. We're going to, these are some of the priorities about funding and supporting some other ongoing discussions around I guess trying to continue to address Indigenous research methodologies as it relates to the Métis people. So, these things are moving forward. I don't want to belabor this issue, but I just want to let our members know this is a significant development for our research team, and how much I appreciate the work that the research team is doing to build that. We're also, many of you might have seen in prior shows, our research team is also into some of the church records, and you'll be hearing some new updates on some of the archival evidence we're getting in other areas of databases and information about the history of our Métis families specific in British Columbia. So that's just a quick touch on that. I don't want to get too much more into that. I do have another, the third, I guess, the next item to share with everyone tonight, just quickly is, we don't like talking about Métis Nation BC. We haven't actually really done that very much, but we just feel compelled on this specific show to share with you our disappointment on how this organization, I'm not here to, like, if people watching tonight are MNBC citizenship card holders, that's your prerogative. We have some of our federation members that also maintain what we would call like a dual citizenship. They have a membership with us, and they also have in the past been citizens of MNBC. Not all, but there definitely are some. But what was shocking to us is we were provided information that they had one of their governance meeting called the Métis Nation Governing Assembly, the MNGA. It happened here just a few weeks ago. And it was just disappointing to see the way their leadership conducts themselves in a public forum and talks about the BC Métis Federation. So rather than focusing on their own work and their own needs, which was what we've been doing, we certainly haven't been outright debating them or fighting with them whatsoever. It was disappointing to see the kind of discussion that happened. They spent day 3 of this particular meeting. It brings in their chartered community presidents from across British Columbia and their provincial leaders. I guess there's about 40 or 50 people there. So it is what it is. That's their governance process. I'm very familiar with it because I actually wrote the MNGA Act to begin with, the original one back in 2004. So I know what it was meant to do, and I can tell you it wasn't meant to like rip Métis people apart. So I just want to share with you my disappointment as the president of the federation to hear the way they talked about the federation and our membership. So I'm going to share with you some of that tonight. It was they spent their entire 3rd day talking about particularly us, went in camera even, which is unprecedented. But I just want to just play a few clips, and I'm going to ask our vice president his thoughts around this. And I don't want to spend, like I said, a whole bunch of time on this, but I think it's important for us to just give you our opinion on some of the kind of the discussion that was had there. So just give me a second. I'm just going to turn over to this.
Resolution number 4. The subject is clarifying citizenship eligibility / acceptance. Legislation affected is the Citizenship Act, submitted by the Métis Nation Columbia River Society on January 25th, 2024, requires a 75% vote for approval. Whereas the Métis National Council General Assembly adopted the following national definition in 2002. Métis means a person who self-identifies as Métis, is distinct from other Aboriginal peoples, is of historic Métis Nation ancestry, and who is accepted by the Métis Nation. In its judgment in R versus Powley 2003, the Supreme Court of Canada confirmed that Métis are a rights-bearing Aboriginal people and set out the components of a Métis definition for the purpose of claiming Aboriginal rights under Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, based on ancestral connection to and acceptance by historic Métis communities. Pursuant to the Powley decision, Canada has supported the MNC governing members in establishing and maintaining citizenship registries. To be registered as Métis, a person must apply to the Métis registry operated by the MNC governing member in the province in which they reside. Be it resolved that the Citizenship Act be amended as follows. Insert the following as Article 3.1.3. 3.1.3. The applicant recognizes that they must not be enrolled on any other Aboriginal registry. This includes being registered as a member, citizen, or beneficiary under the Indian Act, or with any other organization or group that claims to represent Métis or other Aboriginal peoples for the purposes of rights, interests, and self-government. Subject to approval of A above in Article 3.2, insert 3.1.3 after 3.1.2 so that the article will read 3.2. Once the Citizenship Authority is satisfied that the applicant has met the conditions in Articles 3.1, 3.1.1, 3.1.2, and 3.1.3, the Citizenship Authority may issue the applicant notification of community acceptance not exceeding 90 days and then issue a Métis Nation British Columbia citizenship card. I would like to note that the printed version of your book refers to Registrar and Registration Authority. As you'll remember in the Citizenship Act, we changed those terms to the Citizenship Authority. The corrected text is highlighted, and that is a change from what is in the book.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that explanation. Do I have a mover and a seconder? I'll go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
Travis Jobin, Métis Nation, Columbia River Society. I so move.
Thank you. And a seconder?
Rob Anderson, Vancouver City, Sky, second.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to President Jobin to speak to this resolution.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, so really, this was some work we did with from the AGM last time, sort of in the flavor of kind of some of the issues we're encountering with the other Métis governments and other organizations representing Métis people in our province. And so, you know, we thought that this should be included in an application that people would basically note down if they're part of any of these other governments. You know, obviously we fully understand that this is, we don't have access, we don't have a way to cross-reference with other citizenship lists from other organizations. This is really just somebody writing down or noting down whether or not they're part of it from their own heart, you know, whether they want to be honest or not. I also think it's a good education tool. I think people are sometimes not aware that when they move from province to province, they are supposed to join with the provincial Métis organization that, or the provincial Métis government that they of the province they reside. And also, you know, it seems like there's a little confusion with, you know, other Métis government organizations or claiming to be government organizations in our province right now, and people are sort of confused as to what's what and who's who. So really, that's the intent of this. It's not, you know, we fully understand that it's not. We don't have a way to check any other registrations. It's really up to people to self-declare.
Thank you very much. President Keith.
Jamie Keith, leader of SOSMA, South Okanagan Similkameen Métis, and BCMF has just opened up a chapter in the Okanagan, and it has certainly caused some friction. When we get new citizens, I will not sign their form unless I meet with them to explain the breadth of their rights and the role of SOSMA and MNBC. That's been a big role in contributing to why SOSMA is so active, because I meet with people. But oftentimes they will pull out their BCMF card and say, and what does this get me? And I jokingly say kicked out. But I know that my board can be very, their biggest knock on me is that I'm way too harsh about it. But I really do believe that, no, our citizens are smart. They are capable of learning the difference between the two and understanding why it's important that they not have both. I really think it's a big mistake when people have both, because it cheapens our nation. It makes it seem like it's just about getting benefits and collecting the points that you get when you pass go. And people need to understand this is not the Pokemon Go of Métis Nation, gotta catch all the cards. It's important that people understand that when they get an MNBC card, they're part of a nation. And to be part of multiple, especially when that other one is causing so much issues, it's important to know. And while I don't fault anyone who doesn't understand and just gets both, it's important that they learn and they educate themselves. And this is a great starting point to have that conversation. I will certainly say if this passes, I have 6 screenshots ready to be sent off to the registrar of people online on Facebook saying they have all these memberships. So I'm pretty excited for this one to pass.
Mark DeBoard, Two Rivers Métis. I've kind of got 2 questions and then a comment that I kind of want some clarity on. One, if you, I understand this is for new citizens, but if there's information in the public domain that existing citizens have, but you know, I think when people are waving around cards or whatnot and it is in the public domain, I'm just curious if this would affect that situation where we'd have kind of 2 different classes of citizens where once you're in the club, you can do whatever you want.
So thank you, President DeBoard. This resolution would apply for new applicants. You are correct about that.
I'll stop there at that video. I think it goes on for it was a whole conversation. It went in camera, and essentially what the Métis Nation BC is working towards, I guess, some sort of process where, you know, if you apply to them and you can just not, you cannot be a member of the BC Métis Federation. And that's, and, you know, principally speaking for myself, I understand a little bit about people having choices, but this is the essence of the problem for us. MNBC simply assumes that they're the government of the Métis people, that they're the only spokespeople of the Métis people, that they're only, you know, the on and on, just the I don't know how to say it without being sounding rude, but I mean just the arrogance of that Jamie Lee, like the arrogance of her to talk about our people, our members, like somehow we're cheapening it. And like I'm Métis not because MNBC, I can tell you that. And I just think that we are just going to continue to build our organization. While they say that, you know, our membership is really busy. While they say that, we now represent about 6,000 members. This whole meeting, there's like 20, we just clipped the 22 minutes of specific to this from that meeting. And I just have to tell you, I just think this is what's wrong with Métis politics in this country. There's this belief that there's only one window approach to who's Métis through the Métis National Council and these governing members. And yet, the courts are now showing that they are actually forcing Canada to reverse that. And while I'll stop and ask Earl and I see our one of other board members on the show here tonight now. But what I do want to share is that while the MNBC may choose to stick their head in the sand and think that they can just, and their leaders there, like, you know, I've been around the Métis movement since I was like a kid. I mean, I've talked about that lots with here on the show. You know, I certainly, not saying I know everything, but I've been around Métis movement for many, many, many years. You know, this doesn't equate with what the courts are doing as it relates to Métis people. And let me show you what happened today. In fact, today, ironically, as we put this show on and we listened to people like this young lady, and I have no reason to dislike Jamie. In fact, she called me last year to talk to me about what is the Federation about. Little did I know, all they're doing is talking about, you know, issues of she just wanted to know how to sort of structure her argument to talk to her members at SAMA, which is fine. And we didn't just start a chapter for your information, Jamie. We've been doing that for years now in Kelowna. It's actually West Kelowna area. And just so while you're disrespecting the very person that was the president of the organization has passed away unexpectedly, and we still are actually dealing with that. So we would ask for that organization to learn a little bit about public respect. But regardless, on this whole piece, no matter what they try and tell themselves and what they try and tell British Columbians and the Métis people in this province, this happened in Alberta today. Federal court orders revisions to the deal between Ottawa and the Métis Nation of Alberta. What happened was Ottawa must make changes to self-government deal it struck with the Métis Nation of Alberta, says a federal court ruling today. This happened just today. The ruling released Thursday says the deal is too broad in its definition of who it covers and who was made without consulting two Métis groups in the province. The only practical remedy is to quash the offending provisions of the agreement and to remit the matter to the Minister for Reconsideration, wrote Judge Gramont. The deal was one of three signed by Métis groups in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba in February 2023, and then that recognized them as Indigenous governments, put them on equal constitutional standing with First Nations, and open the door to further negotiations, such as compensation for land lost. It gave the groups control over who is a Métis citizen, leadership selection, and government operations, and it brought them under the federal legislation that gives Indigenous governments control over family and child welfare. They argued that the Métis Nation of Alberta it gave the Métis Nation of Alberta exclusive ability to assert Métis rights in the province, something they had not consented to. Fort McKay Métis Nation and the Métis Settlements Grand Council, which hold the only Métis land base in the province, wanted the court to throw out the entire agreement. While Gramont agreed with their complaint, the judge ruled that disallowing the broad sections of the deal and requiring Ottawa to come up to the table with two dissenting groups was remedy enough. The agreement remains in place, said Jason Madden, lawyer with the Métis Nation of Alberta. These provisions were overly broad and do not include exclusivity of representation for the Métis Nation of Alberta. There's clear direction from the court on how to address those offending provisions, he said. So, you know, the lawyer for Fort McKay, or McKay, I guess, for Métis Nation, said the decision allows his client to pursue its own path to self-government. what I'm saying is the Métis Nation, the Métis National Council have been saying that there's only one window. And right beside us, very today, the federal court just ruled that no, that the Ottawa can't just afford now they're saying land-based, but really the only land-based, that's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek on this article because the land base is the Métis settlements. There's 8 of them in Alberta. Yes, they're well known and they've actually they need their own constitutional governance recognition. But Fort McKay was one of the groups that split away from the Métis Nation of Alberta, much like the Federation did in 2011. So I find this ruling very helpful. Many of you that have been working with the Federation know that we are in the courts presenting the same kind of arguments, that you can't force people to just join one way. We have a freedom of association. We have a freedom of how we want to see our Métis governments move forward. So I just want to say to people, that is a very significant development. And to watch what Métis Nation BC is trying to convince themselves of, I guess, I just want to end with this on this piece. We've asked for them to meet for years. They've refused. And then they tell government, they say, we're after it for service delivery. With all due respect, we actually were happy with Métis Nation BC providing services to all Métis. The problem is, by that new definition, they're trying to make it so that you can't even get a service from them on most of their programs today without actually being an MNBC citizen. You can't be ours now officially if this resolution passes. So we already know they're discriminating against our members and accessing Métis public services that MNBC administers. MNBC is one giant service delivery organization. They are doing nothing for Métis rights. That's for darn sure. I guess what I would like to just say is, your thoughts, Renee. It's a lot to unpack there. I didn't mean to go on for such a long time, but I just felt really like some of these people at the Métis Nation Governing Assembly, and you saw the video. I know our leadership watched it. We've provided to our law firm. It's almost become a cult to me. That's what I feel that organization has become. Like, they have every right to stand up for what they believe in, but they should just do it on their own merits and their own 2 feet. That's my feeling. But your any reaction to the video or the new legal development in Alberta? Anything you want to share? Any reaction?
Well, after watching the video, I was totally disappointed on their attitude, that they're the only Métis organization that looks after the Métis. I think they're wrong, and I can't believe they're taking that route.
Yeah, I find it actually just so disingenuous. Like, I don't know how, and I mean, there's other parts of the video clip. There's people that we've known, you and I have known for years, and they're on there saying we're stealing money. We're like, I just can't believe the language they use about us in a public forum like that. And it's disappointing. Like, I mean, I guess I expect it. I just didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think they cared that much to worry about us, that much to spend an entire day talking about how they're gonna start getting at our membership. I think it's really just disappointing to think that an Indigenous organization that they claim they are with Indigenous values should publicly speak in such a way about, like, that's the problem with Métis politics. Like, I see it in Saskatchewan, many parts of the country. We have to be able to disagree with each other and still find a way to move forward in the best interest of Métis people. And pushing people out because you disagree with their political views is not fair. To me, anyways. I don't know. Anything else you want to? Roseanne, I know you're in the background there. Any thoughts you want to share with the audience tonight that's listening in?
Sure.
Oh, hey, there you are.
The screen. MNBC needs to remember that they're the reason there's 2 organizations in this province. They need to remember that, and they should also remember that those that live in glass houses shouldn't cast stones, because we walked away from them for the very things that they're accusing us of doing. We folded an entire organization here in Terrace and started a new one to get away from them. So I mean, they need to kind of remember that. It seems like they have a very poor memory. So
yeah, it just feels like they forget that the Federation formed because a number of us who were trying to help fix things, although the internal leadership at the time didn't agree, we, Coalition of Concerned Métis Citizens, actually wanted to try and fix it. Like what we were worried about at the time in 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010. And then after just finally beating our heads against the wall, we moved on. And that was the truth. So they created the federation. I said it all the time. And I remember in 2011, Renee, you and I were two of the founding leaders of this organization. You know, we heard them laughing. We heard them saying, oh, it's nothing. Oh, this, oh, that. They're just going to be a small group that goes away. Well, guess what? 13 years later, we represent several thousand people and growing on a monthly basis. Our membership is getting busier by the month every year. And so, you know, what does it feel like to you to still be here, 13 years later, Renee, listening to this kind of stuff that we listened to back in 2011?
That's right. You know, we've been at it for a long time, and I think, yeah, to me, I think it's awful to listen to them when they say we're their enemy. It really bothered me when I heard that.
Yeah, like we're like, if nothing else, like we're actually related to a lot of those people sitting around those tables. Like it's just such a and I just see this divisive politics, and then they say we're the problem. Actually, with all due respect to that young lady, no, she's the problem. That belief that you
Yeah.
need to actually tell people that we're bad and they're good, like where does that even make sense in any common sense government world? Like if they really wanted to work things out with us, they would just sit down and negotiate with us and talk with us, you know? So I don't know, Roseanne, you've seen this fight brew for a lot of years, and I thought we've actually really haven't talked about MNBC for a very long time on this show or really anywhere else. I don't know why. What do you think prompted them to do this, to start pushing forward this resolution, which led to this crazy conversation that I deem it actually so unprofessional and crazy. I actually think it's inappropriate on so many levels.
I think it's because, well, not just because we're growing, but because their people are starting to wake up. Their members are starting to wake up, and some of them are saying, hey, you know, we've got some questions. Why aren't you answering them? And why are there so many, like, I'll give you a good example. Here in Terrace, they have 2 offices. You never see them in one of them. You know, like, where is that money going? And why is it being spent that way? And they've just bought a huge chunk of property. There's some questions around how they can own property without actually having an office on that property. I mean, like I said, they're living in a glass house and they're casting stones, and they should be like concerned about the damage they're doing to themselves.
Absolutely.
It's pretty petty. It's pretty petty.
Well, I just think that, it's like I've watched some really dysfunctional, like I've been involved in Indigenous work negotiations for, all my life, but particularly my professional career since I graduated from university in 95. And I've seen some, unfortunately, just troubled First Nations communities. And it reminds me of the leadership when things aren't going well, all of a sudden they get really insular and they start lashing out, and they start and they just can't fix it because they don't have the capacity to fix it. And it's just like it's like watching the Métis organizations. They go through these cycles, and every so many years or every decade or two, they crumble, they rebuild, they crumble, they rebuild. And it's all because this gets to that place because their leadership doesn't have the depth and professionalism and capacity to see there's a bigger picture that needs to be solved here. And they think they're actually, instead of pointing it at government colonial policies, which is really at the heart of identity and these identity politics, we pointed at each other because it's a zero-sum game of we got to win this because there's money. Well, I don't know if they don't realize this, but the Federation is not like, yes, we need money, we need resources, but that's secondary. We've always said we're about trying to make sure that we address the rightful place of Métis in British Columbia. And that's the difference. And all they're doing is propagating this notion that the only Métis are from the Red River Diaspora or Red River or Manitoba. And I think, I'm not saying that I disagree that there is lots of Métis people with that history, of course, but we should be the history and the Section 35 work of the Métis of the Pacific Northwest is fundamentally different and challenging than what we see in other provinces. And these guys don't get it. They're stuck like they're living in Manitoba. That's what I feel like. And I'm from Saskatchewan with ancestry in Manitoba as well. So I'm not saying I'm not trying to disrespectful that. I'm saying they need to get a broader lens on what the bigger issue is here. Now, listen, you guys, any final words on this? We've spent a lot of time on it, and it was an important piece. I know there's lots of people weighing in on this online, but certainly any final thoughts you want to share with members listening in tonight? I'll start with you, Renee.
I think we're definitely getting traction, and I think we're going to keep going what we're doing. And I think we're working for our members and our community, and we'll keep going, doing what's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Roseanne, anything from yourself you want us to leave with?
I agree with Rennie. We just got to keep doing what we're doing. We're obviously making some headway. And here's the great thing about us. We do all the stuff that MMBC doesn't do, right? From the scholarships to the food security funds, to the emergency assistance, to the Michif language. We offer everything that they simply, barely do anything with. We get the odd workshop notification, whoop-de-doo. We're actually successful, you know what I mean?
And I wanted to say thank you to both for saying that, because especially ending with that, because Karen, just so Roseanne, I don't know why Karen came in my head. Oh my God. Anyways, but my point on this is that it's too bad that they can't see the forest through the trees, that there's a bigger picture out here, and that we should be supporting members. And I will say, as you pointed out rightfully so, we do a lot more creative things and actually direct help for members than they do with 10 times the budget. So I have like serious questions about what do they do? Like they're talking about us stealing resources. Our organization is here at our best year ever. We will talk about that in a future show, but over $7 million. Half of it is through our economic development work. We created a revenue stream to do the things we're talking about. No one gave us money to do scholarships. No one gave us money to do food security. We took the money we raised, and rather than just insular on ourselves, we put it into community development, into these programs. Yes, we hired staff because we needed to deliver programs, but we did that on our own. They're getting government money and they're still not doing that. And I don't understand. For me, I don't understand how their citizens don't ask tough questions. I personally go, and then they say, oh, we can't this. Well, you just bought buildings all over this province for how much? Like, what are you doing? How does that even equate? Like, I personally do not understand the business model behind this. And I think their Métis citizens should ask a lot of very difficult questions, but that's up to them. That's really up to them. If they can't see that there's no real new things coming, but let's go to a positive thing, because I know I'll talk 20 more minutes on this if I can. We're definitely going to go a little longer than an hour tonight, but I do want to say on that note, this is what we do. And we just came up with a new video. It just went on our website, and I want everyone watching tonight, I hope you stick it. I want to show you this in its entirety, and just watch this and just be proud of what we're doing at the Federation with all of you, to build a better Métis voice and a more effective Métis community in British Columbia. And just bear with me as I pull it up here. I thought I had it already ready to go. So I know sorry, by the way, I know our friends here are probably wanting to get on with some more music, but we've got stuck in this conversation, but thank you, Sean and Renee, for your patience. But I do want to show this video, if that's okay, all right? They're saying, yeah. Yeah, so it's our new video. So just watch this in its entirety. And I'm very proud and thankful to our leadership for putting this together.
La Fédération de Michif de Colombie-Britannique, on est content pour montrer notre ouvrage aux communautés de Michif au BC.
BC Métis Federation is happy to show our work to our Métis community here in BC.
De la culture Michif avec éducation.
Métis education and culture for our Métis people through good Métis leadership.
Ça, c'est un voyage qu'on remercie pour votre engagement.
This is a voyage, and we thank you for your engagement and support to ensure that Métis people in British Columbia grow together.
Métis have a long storied history in Canada, and in particular in the Pacific Northwest. And there were many families of us that had came to British Columbia over the last 150 years, some earlier than others. My family came maybe 70 years ago, but we're all in a similar place in that we feel like we have a story that's multifaceted. It started in the prairies, but we feel like we have belonging in British Columbia in our own right.
Our Métis presence in BC. We believe it's been there since the beginning. We're not just part of the Red River. You know, we're nomadic in nature. We've moved across the provinces. We harvested across the provinces.
There's Métis people that live right here and have integrated into First Nations kinship networks, and we're interested to make sure that their stories are told.
So my name is Keith Henry. I'm the president and CEO for the BC Métis Federation. I'm a Métis person, grew up in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, moved to British Columbia about 20 years or so ago. We live in a province where I think we're made to feel less than Indigenous. And I hate saying that, but I've been here 20 years and I've never felt like we belonged. There's a rich history of the Pacific Northwest, and the political belief has been for our last number of years is that there wasn't a history of Métis people in this province.
You know, we've been kind of cut out of the picture all the way through by government. It was either you're First Nations or you're white. There was no in between, and the government worked really hard back then to try and eliminate that in between.
Probably in my late 30s, I had my own identity of recognizing that I was Métis. There was no conversation in our family about being Métis, although it was visible, that you were either European looking or very First Nations looking. But there was never a dialogue because our families were silenced through colonization.
With the children coming up and being Métis, they were always told not to say anything because the racism that goes on.
I grew up with Métis culture. My grandparents spoke a Michif language. I didn't even know that was Métis, to be honest with you. We were half-breeds. We called ourselves half-breeds. But that was okay. Like, we were okay with that. Like, that was like a term of endearment for me.
Where I grew up in northern Manitoba, the Métis people, they didn't make themselves known. They sort of hid away because they were discriminated, and it was hard on us, very hard on us.
I asked my grandmother many years ago before she passed if she was First Nations, if she was Indian, and she said no, and she hid it. And now I understand why.
Helping people connect with Métis identity is really important because it's being lost. Everything's being homogenized. Everything is, and we see Indigenous communities, whether it's First Nation, Métis, Inuit in this country, fighting to keep their culture alive. If we don't do that properly as leaders and organizations, it will be lost. I've heard a lot in my lifetime about advancing like Métis rights, but what does that actually mean? There was representation for some Métis people in British Columbia through different organizations, but there was a lot of conflict, a lot of division about how money was being spent and what the priority was. The BC Métis Federation started in 2011 by a handful of us visionary leaders that really wanted to see a different style of Métis government and representation. And 13 years later, I'm proud to say that the Federation has really established a substantial network of roughly 6,000 members, a number of partner organizations, and significant new programs with a focus on research and culture that has never been achieved in this province before.
Well, right now, for the last 5 years, I've been working on the Michif French language. The BC Métis Federation has put quite a bit of resource to be able to keep it alive. In BC here, there's only 3 of us that speaks Michif, and they're all over 70 years old. So it's in danger.
You kind of forget your language when you're beat up by the nuns and you go home, you got a licking at school because you weren't speaking the proper French that they were trying to teach you. You go home and the old man gives you another licking because you got a licking at school. So after a while he said, I'm not speaking French, I'm not speaking Michif no more.
I was fortunate to hear it, grow up with it, but I never spoke it. And the reason why I didn't speak it is because my grandparents didn't want me to speak it. They told me to fit in. They actually told me, this isn't important, this is dirty French.
My parents did not want anybody to know we were Métis. They spoke the Métis language in the household, but we never spoke the Métis language outside of that.
All our people who have grown up with the language, it was stolen from them through colonization, through humiliation, through abuses, and they have a right to claim that language back to themselves. That belongs to them.
We're bringing it back. And we're trying to teach the people that have lost their culture, as I did, or lost a language. And some of these people are very thankful. They'd forgotten their own language, but now it's coming back.
For our past and trying to carry it forward to the next generation of those that can continue to pass it forward and continue to keep our culture going and keep it alive.
Well, the mission is to help the Métis people, and that's basically what the British Columbia Métis Federation is all about. It's about helping people and fighting for our rights at the same time.
But how do we pull it together? We pull it together by providing these events, some traditional events, new programs that can help these people, new youth programs, and it will be woven through literally as we create these programs. And they've been really successful. And before, say, our youth get into precarious situations, let's get at the beginning of this. Let them feel self-pride, have identity, have self-worth, have a skill set they feel good about, and a community that supports them. And it's intergenerational. So you'll have a 16-year-old sitting down with somebody 75, playing the fiddle, and transferring that knowledge. And that is a beautiful thing, because I think it's lost in our Western culture.
So something that all of the programs and initiatives that we have, the one thing that's in common with all of them is passion. When you get together a group of people that are passionate about something, I think it's fairly easy for them to connect on some level with the work that they're doing. Particularly in the spring and summer months, we go out to a lot of the coastal areas and we do really large beach cleanups. Sometimes up to 100 people attend these events.
I have a 10-year-old son too, so I bring him to these coastal water protector events when I can. He's fairly young, but yeah, he's starting to know what Métis is as well.
Well, just recently we've developed the Emergency Assistance Program for our community members, and we participate by assisting them with funds to purchase food, medicine, any of their medical needs.
When people are in need, they can come to the Métis Federation and explain their needs, and we address that.
People in our communities just kind of fall through the cracks when it comes to healthcare, just because a lot of their towns or cities just don't have the resources culturally to even support Métis people, let alone like hospitals even understanding what Métis really means. So the BC Métis Federation Health Department wants to ensure that we're educating our children and youth on healthy diets, and we want to continue with that education with bridging our relationships with the provincial and federal Canadian government.
What happened was we just started understanding that, hey, like there's multiple issues happening here, and they don't have supports. Now, how can we start looking at supports for these people? We've had some meetings with different government officials. We've gone to different healthcare conferences. We've looked at the Emergency Assistance Program, which is our big catalyst from that. And so it was a program designed for people to apply for a one-time payment funding. And what it amounts to is they need help with equipment, need help with covering prescriptions. They might need various items for their home just because of their health issues.
So I oversee the entire industry engagement team, taking care of procurement and consultation. So our goal when we came together 4 years ago was to get Métis contractors procurement opportunities on pipelines and to get Métis folks to work on these pipeline projects. It's so important. These relationships stay with us for years. Out of it comes employment opportunities for Métis folks, procurement opportunities, subcontracting opportunities, revenue agreements that come back to the BC Métis Federation, and that revenue really sustains the organization as a whole.
BC Federation is family-oriented, inclusive, very supportive of our community members and our community partners, and it's very proud work that we do.
So if anybody needs any help, we're here to help them. And this is why I'm involved with this one and not anyone else, not any other organization. The BCMF is the only one that does that.
That is the Métis way, is to help one another, and you kind of come together to solve issues, and you're not alone. And
I'm forever grateful to have the opportunity to work for an association and a department that is helping to foster these connections and expand the education and knowledge.
The BC Métis Federation has connected me to my culture. It has really made me feel proud to be Métis in British Columbia, and I want to pass that energy forward to future members and elders of the community.
When I was with the other association, nothing was changing. It was all at the same level. But when I joined the BC Métis Federation, it was uphill.
It's the time and the place to move forward, is what it is. And the Métis people have always been here, and they always will be here. And that's what we're striving for, is just to make all the community members, the Métis members, proud of who they are.
And if there's one thing I'm going to do in this province is make sure that the Métis have a respected place at the Indigenous table. And I feel this organization's mandate is about making sure that we do that with pride and strength, not from a place of trying to cling on to some sort of other Indigenous style of living so we could be accepted. It's not who we were. Never was. Never will be.
We can't bring everything back from our past, but we can learn from everything that we had from our past. We can bring back our languages and the way we do things. We can bring back our culture, our traditions, and bring back our voices.
Métis people aren't a contemporary project. We're a historical people.
Les temps passés.
Le temps passé.
Le temps passé, le temps qui vient.
From our past for our future.
From our past.
For our future.
To know your past is to know your future.
And now it's for us is we need to pass it on to our next generation.
Well, I hope all of you online tonight enjoyed that. We're very proud of that new video. It's now available on our website at bcmétis.com. We would ask you to share it to your members, to your family or friends. We get a lot of people asking us, who is the BC Métis Federation? We're a lot of things. We aren't just, fighting politics. You saw the breadth and depth of the leadership, the breadth and depth of the staff, the breadth and depth of the programming, and that's just a snapshot into what we do. So I hope that I'm very proud of the work, and there's other things we're working on all the time, but what we want to just to showcase that it's a positive vibe. It's not, we're not sitting here being victims because some organization doesn't like us. In fact, we don't even care, to be honest with you. So that is where we're going. And so, Renee, I really appreciated your participation in the video, and Roseanne, I know you're there. How did you feel being in the video?
It was good. Every time I watch it, it gets better.
Yeah, exactly.
I get something out of it every time I watch it. So no, it's great.
Yeah. I know I kind of, Roseanne, how did you, I really appreciate the words you said on that. And we just now promoted that tonight on our website. What's your thoughts about your participation with it?
I was nervous at first, but the crew they were awesome, and I really enjoyed being a part of it. And I really like the final result.
Yeah, I know it was quite an undertaking. Now there are some other important pieces here tonight, and I absolutely know that we have to I wanted to feature a couple other stories tonight. I hope that Sean and Renee, you guys are okay. We're gonna just ram through a couple things, and then I'll get a song from you,
Sure.
okay? And I'm sorry, I know we haven't pushed super aggressively tonight, but there's a couple just quick stories I want to just give information with our members. And the video talked about that. One of the things that Renee, you talked about, like there's different dialects of Michif. Some was more Cree. The Michif we've chosen is the French dialect because we polled our members a few years ago that we've reported on this show, and that was the overwhelming choice of our membership. And so we walked down, and to your point, Renee, there's 3 sort of actual fluent Michif French speakers left in British Columbia, and you're one of them. And so we're continuing to build the content. This is some of the example of some of the Michif French. We're doing the word of the day sort of thing, and then we've got these on our social media platforms. Renee, how do we say this word?
Marche.
Marche.
Yes, marche.
Yeah, and as we know, and we've got some videos that our team has also put on. Let's look at what April is, okay? We'll showcase that because that was March, but we're heading into April. So I'm gonna play just this quick video that is part of the language series that your team is doing. And Renee, I'm super proud of this work that you guys are doing. So let's just have a short clip of the April video that's out on social media as well.
Ovri.
Did I say that right? Did I get it right?
Oh, you got it right. Ovri, yeah.
All three. So, you know, we're a community people. We're trying to reconnect people with this. And I just encourage members, these tools are out there available on our platforms now. You can look at them, you can see them, and we encourage you absolutely to look at these things. Now, I also just want to let our members know as well, we will have a new spring newsletter out soon. We're just finishing up. It'll be out in April, sort of first or second week in April. So watch that. That will be coming out soon for the newsletter, just for the members, and just obviously be aware of that development. A quick touch on this as well. You know, we saw it in the video, the work of the coastal water protectors. You know, we do all these other things, and the work of Angel and Zia and the team, and of course our leadership support. We've been implementing these just conservation programs. How do we help our Métis youth, our Métis community be contributing to environmental stewardship? And so there'll be a Western Canadian Marine Response Corporation site tour that we're participating in. So WCMRC, they actually do a lot of the coastal emergency response work up and down British Columbia's coast. So they'll be, I guess, just learning a little bit more. So if you want any information, contact Angel a.fisher@bcmétis.com. And that we're certainly proud of the work. And they did talk about in the video beach cleanup. And they'll be doing a future beach cleanup. And I've heard of the next one has, again, over 100 people that have signed in, and later in April. And I just go, wow, like I'm just so thankful to the members that how important that this is for this. We also just had the Coastal Conference that I think most people know that it was a challenging conference. I think some of you may recall, we talked about this, we're First Nations, and we worked our way through it. But, you know, it was challenging, right? But, you know, out of that, we continue to try and help people continue to I guess, work their way through coastal conservation. So I'm going to show with you some of the social media clips that we're actually creating to support a little bit of awareness of the work we're doing as well.
We don't have a thriving planet, and this is where we live.
Coastal is protecting us rather than we doing it, so it's our I would say it was our turn to do that now.
Coastal conservation is important to me because it helps me understand my place in this world.
Really, coastal and marine ecosystems are kind of like the canary in the coal mine, and we need to protect them.
I don't think a lot of people appreciate or think that they have power to make change in the world, and that's why we're letting it all slip through our fingers.
There's data that shows that we could have a complete marine ecosystem die out and issues within the next 25 years.
It really depends on if we're going to change our lifestyle, if we're going to change our mindset.
So we shared that. I mean, that's just a teaser. We'll be putting a summary of the Coastal Conference. That was just some of the invited keynote speakers from different organizations. And we're trying to do a lot of education and awareness of like the impact we're having right here on coastal waters in British Columbia, you know, and that's important to the Métis communities. It is to any Indigenous community. And so we know this is a big issue for our members, and we know that members will continue to want to be involved in it. And it doesn't mean we're trying to be water protecting in the sense of like policing the waters or restricting. Like there's things we're trying to do to just help be coastal stewards as well. So I want to commend our team and the work that they're doing around that. I think that's very, very important work that we're doing as an organization. And I want to thank the team for that work and watch for more information about that. Another just before we finish on this, that was on the coastal, just another piece that I just wanted to share with you tonight. Our team just came back. We had the Coastal Conference, obviously, we know last month, or pardon me, in January, and there was the Youth Aquatic Retreat. So we'll be giving information out in the near future about some of the results of this work. And thank you to the youth that all attended the Youth Aquatic Retreat on Vancouver Island. And I know that I'm looking forward to getting some more feedback and video sort of summary of what happened with those events. I think we'll be looking forward to sharing that with our members all across British Columbia, and of course, Métis people watching from other parts of the country, quite frankly. You will see coming forward in the new year, just another quick story for you tonight. We will be continuing. We all know that our friend Greg Mazur, he was instrumental in us as the Federation leadership approving a first ever scholarship program this last year. the board has and the leadership have approved another scholarship program for 2024, 2025. And you will see information about the opening of the applications coming here in the spring for this next academic year, 2024, 2025. And so watch for that information. And again, we're so thankful. And we, Greg is missed, and we know this was a passion of Greg's that we lost, unfortunately, just before Christmas. But it's our way of honoring a man who contributed significantly to the Métis community. And we certainly thank Greg for the work that he did. And that's such an important issue for him. I just want to say one last thing here before I turn it to our friends for some final comments and some songs. I'm very excited. So if you're in the Lower Mainland or you're a friend of the Federation, you just want to be coming out, pardon me, we're excited. We've been developing our cultural center. We've got Project Coming Home, which is a major vision of a Pacific Northwest Métis Cultural Center here in the Lower Mainland. But we've turned our office, which was one of the options we had this last few years as we've been envisioning this. We created a cultural space here at 3665 Kingsway. So we're going to have 2 movie nights. We've created a beautiful room. It's like I said, we've turned it into a board meeting room with a kind of a cultural space feeling. But we're inviting you. It's free. Private screening of the series True Story. It's part 1 and part 2. They're each about an hour and a half. It's free to come. We'll have some popcorn, coffee, water, juice. Just a family night. It's free. We want you to come. Doors. We'll have people watching to let people up around starting at 6:30 p.m. Watch the website for information on and we'll have staff that'll help shepherd people up. But really, we hope people show up. We'll have room for, last time we did a movie evening, we ended up with about 50, 55 people there. I hope we end up with the same. We just want to make this a gathering space as much as we can here in the Vancouver area. I know it's disappointing for members that are not in the Lower Mainland, but we want to also provide this office as an opportunity to actually just use as a cultural space. So we're working with a lot of members here in the Lower Mainland. Please feel free to come. You don't just have to be a Federation card-carrying member. If you're Métis and you just want to come and celebrate some time together, you're invited. We're not checking membership cards at the door. In fact, we just make this open for you. And so we hope you'll learn. And it's not a night of politics. It's a night just to watch the movie, have a quick discussion, what are your thoughts about it? And it's about continuing to tell the history of how Canada came to be. And there's a lot of Métis content as well in this video. And, it's education, it's awareness. It's where does our Métis self-government, our rights come from, and just helping people understand that trajectory. So please put that in your calendar, April 10th and April 17th here in Vancouver. It's at 7 p.m. each night. And I look forward to seeing you there. I will be there, and I hope to see a lot of our members and friends there. So Renee, I know we rattled quickly through there. We're a little bit over time, but I'd love for you and Sean to do one more song. Can we get you guys to do one more song? And I know it's not been a typical night, but we got into a lot there. So, and I'm sorry, Sean, I know you're sitting there anxiously waiting, but what song will you give us tonight?
The next tune, I got this from a great fiddle player named Ryan Kiplin called Nip and Nick on G.
Great job, guys. Yeah, it was an abbreviated version, I know. Do you want to do one more? I feel bad. You've only done 2 songs tonight. Do you want to give me one more? Come on, the crowd.
I could, yeah.
The crowd's cheering for it. They're cheering for it. I see people with
But
thumbs
this
up.
one will be, it's called Diggy Liggy Lie.
Again, great job, you guys. And thank you for 2 quick songs. Sean and Renee, I'm really thankful for your guys' work and support today. Thank you. It's a bit of an odd because we had to show so much video, but thank you both for being here tonight, as always, and providing that Métis music. We really appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you for the good job and the good show, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, and Sean, again, hopefully you have fun with the kids hunting Easter eggs.
Yeah, I hope I find some.
Yeah, that's right. And Renee, sorry, Roseanne, I know you're hiding around the side there. You're like the Wizard of Oz god on the side there. So thank you for your contributions in behind the scenes there. Okay.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to leave you with this thought, everyone. I mean, I just share. So, government and the way we get represented is really important to people like some of us here at the Federation, not just myself, but people like Renee, Roseanne. You saw the different leadership on the video, and Fort McKay for Métis Nation talked about this. And I want you to read what they wrote today, because I just thank people that sent this to me. This is really important for people to understand, because this is the way they look at it. And they were a group that also broke away. And this is what their leadership was saying. Métis Nation of Alberta is not our government, does not represent us, and the court agrees. That's their lingo, right? And that's where kind of we're at now at the Federation. It's a parallel challenge for us. So but what caught my attention in here, in the statement today on behalf of the Fort McKay Métis Nation, their director of governance said it's hard to overestimate the importance of and repercussions of this decision. The MNA has set itself up improperly as a level of government that represents us. They never have, and they will not. We govern ourselves per our Constitution of 2019 and our history and self-representation. And it goes on to say we applaud and so forth. I leave you with that because I know a lot of us out there with MNBC citizenship cards. I'm not saying leave that organization. I'd never say that. If that's your organization, that's your prerogative. But you can't tell people like me that you can only be Métis if they deem that I go through their politicized registry system and tell me that I'm Métis, because I know where I come from and I've been Métis all my life, not because of them. So think about that. Think about the information we share. We hope you encourage people to become members of the Federation. We hope people understand the opportunities we have at the Federation. And we just provide people, I think, a really common sense approach to what I think I think collectively are all of our leadership supports for good governance. So I want to end with this. We have our new action plan coming out soon. I referred to it in different ways tonight throughout the show, but it'll outline all of our tactics and strategy. Next month, I'll be going through that very extensively with you, and it will be available online in a week or so. So the board approved it a few weeks ago, and we're just putting the finishing touches on the public document. So watch for that. And all of our key performance indicators for governance and culture and community investments, and lots of exciting stuff going on. So with that, I just want to say have a great Easter long weekend. I hope all of you have some time with family and just really spend some time enjoying, people that you're close with, because I mean, Easter is one of those rare opportunities where I can actually spend some time just sort of refocusing a little bit and actually getting myself, a little bit of rest and relaxation. So on behalf of the Federation Board of Directors, our leadership, our members, our partner communities, thank you for watching tonight. You can email me anytime at k.henry@bcmétis.com if you want to ask me any questions or follow up with our organization. All our emails are public. We look forward to helping members and serving the Métis community in British Columbia. Have a great night, everyone.